दिन की शुरुआत अच्छी हो तो सब अच्छा होता है. I think overnight we are fortunate to see good news coming in. India's tariff had already reduced to 25% and it was going to be reduced to a further 18%. However, the Supreme Court in US has struck down the tariff which Trump has proposed, and now it is said that India's tariff will be 10%. So we have started the day with a pleasant surprise. So, I think it's always nice. What I'll do, I'll give you a little bit of perspective on the Indian markets and what is our view here. And then my colleague Sanjay will take you through what we are trying to offer in our, Abacus small cap fund. So from the market perspective, 2000 to 2000, 2020 to 2024 was a great period. I think equity markets did very, very well. Those who were positive had good health and good wealth despite COVID. And obviously the smaller companies led by mid cap and small caps did very, very well. 2024, obviously when things are good, thoda sa expensive ho gaya market. Or, we saw also a lot of headwinds coming in. Corporate profit growth slowed down. September 24 profit growth was only 3%. We also had multiple wars in the world, including in Israel, Iran, Gaza, closer home, India, Pakistan, which was the biggest conflict in the last 50 years we have had. And we also had a scenario where because India had become expensive, foreigners removed money and put into other parts of the world. Last but not the least, Trump became the president again in January 25. And since then, we have had a lot of concern because of tariff yo-yo, sometimes tariff for 20%, sometimes 50%, and so on and so forth. So I think as a result of which Indian equity markets suffered. The mid and small cap, which had risen very significantly, also corrected more sharply compared to the large cap markets. However, things have started to improve. Indian government has also been trying to push for growth. In the budget of 2025, we had a relief of 1 lakh crore as far as income tax is concerned. Later on in the year, in August 25, we had a 1 lakh crore benefit with reduction in GST. And I think ever since that has been implemented, starting September of 25, we have seen huge growth in auto sales, including cars, two-wheelers, CVs, tractors, and also other consumer items demonstrated by the consumers, companies as well as the retail companies. From a global perspective, I think this whole move towards only AI and data center investing is slowly fading off. And India, to that extent, should be a key beneficiary. Third is India's GDP continues to do very well. GDP growth is now trending upwards of 7%. Corporate profit growth, which I mentioned had fallen to 3%, is now back to growing at upwards of 10%. In fact, December quarter ke jo earnings aaye hain, that after a long time, earnings have outperformed the analyst expectation. And in fact, large cap earnings are up 10-11%, but the mid and small cap earnings are up anywhere between 15 to 20%. From other perspective, I think we have had a budget which continues with the whole focus on capital spending and fiscal prudence. Fiscal deficit is expected to be brought down to below 4.3%. Capital expenditure ka budget again is 12 lakh 10,000 crores. In fact, last 4 years, the percentage of capital expenditure in the total expenditure budget has gone up from 25% to 32%. That clearly shows that government is spending on the right areas, in the right areas. Also, India's GDP, debt to GDP is only 55%, vis-a-vis a lot of countries which are anywhere between 100 to 200%. And in fact, that also the government is committed to bringing it below 50%. So all in all, India's fiscal condition could not have been better. India's balance sheet is phenomenal. I think what we were lacking was growth, and there also now things are looking much better. From a trade perspective, India has signed multiple free trade agreements, FTAs, larger ones being the UK and the EU free trade agreements. What was missing was obviously, the US trade deal, and there also we already had a trade deal in place a few weeks back. where India's penal 25% trade tariff to the US was reduced to 50%, and it was expected that it would be further reduced to 18%. But now, with the Supreme Court order, it is said that India's tariff will now only be 10%. So there also there is optimism, and our view is that going forward, India's growth as well as corporate profit growth should increase because exports should also go up significantly. So after a long, long time, I think we are seeing all the headwinds become tailwinds. काफी positiveness दिख रहा है. Companies and entrepreneurs are also very optimistic, and foreigners also have now started selectively to relook at investing in Indian equities. Their exposure to India is at an all-time low in terms of percentage, and from here on, the potential is only for flows to come in rather than go out. Uh, from a market perspective, obviously, as I said, we are positive. The other thing we have to remember is that when markets correct, small and mid caps tend to correct higher. But when the markets recover, the mid and small caps recover also very fast. And therefore, when our view is that the market should recover, we are expecting that small caps to do much better. And after 1 year of underperformance, where small cap indexes underperformed the Nifty by almost 15%, but almost 40 to 50% of the small cap stocks are 40% lower than their all-time highs. So there has been a lot of correction which has already set in. And therefore, a combination of our positive view on the Indian economy and the markets, and the fact that small caps have corrected so much, makes us believe that this is a good time to start to looking at small cap. Abacus has always been known for its stock picking, for its alpha generation capabilities. And with a large team of almost 24, 25 people on the investment side and tracking hundreds of companies in-house, we believe that we can add value as far as investing in small cap is concerned. So I think a combination of all these has led to us launching the second offering from Abacus, which is the Abacus Small Cap Fund. I know, it is a tough time to convince investors to invest in small cap. It is very easy to convince investors to invest in gold now or in large cap. But our view is that we should launch fund when it is advantageous for the investors rather than when it is easy to sell. Because what is advantageous or what is beneficial to the investor ultimately will make everyone happy.